pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Okay. The mission of the Chatham Central School District is to provide students an education that nurtures intellectual curiosity and focuses on academic and cultural foundations. Our students will graduate with knowledge, problem-solving abilities, and the character needed to participate ethically, adapt, succeed, and contribute in their future educational, career, and community endeavors. Can we get an approval of the present agenda? Motion?
Motion.
Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The public may address the board at this time if anyone would like to come up and speak. Okay. There is a location at the end of this table for anyone interested.
Oh, yeah. Here. No, actually, we don't have to. She's not coming.
But no one's speaking right now. Okay. Board member comments. Would anyone like to speak?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to say thank you. Can you hear me? It's so echoey. Sorry. For all the parents and community members that came out last night and that we're not going to have a booster club dissolve. I thought that's like really good. And so they have a whole new board. So Maggie Mab, Michelle Dallas, Shannon Stelps, Erica Horton. I think I'm missing one person. And yep. And the Macarellis, or no, Melinda. Yep. So I just wanted to say thank you to them because I feel like really keeps our spirit.
That makes me
Chatham.
so happy. I
Yeah.
was worried about
Yeah.
that. So there was a lot of people that came out yesterday?
They got a full board.
That's
They
great.
not only have a full board, but they've decided more hands make lighter
Yeah,
work. So there's 2
100%.
presidents, 2 vice presidents,
Wow.
1 secretary, and 2 treasurers.
Oh, that's
So they're just going to
good.
share
That's great.
the work. So it's very
Great.
exciting.
Awesome. That's great news.
Sorry.
I just wanted to say I got the privilege to go to the activity day at the middle school that Miss Fisher put on the Friday before break, and it was all about wellness, and it was absolutely amazing. The kids loved it, all the teachers, staff, everybody loved it, and she does such an amazing job, so I just wanted to give her kudos.
That's awesome. That's exciting. Anyone else? No? Okay. Jaden, do you want to do the student representative report?
Before we went on break, the Strings in the Spotlight had a concert, which is all orchestra members in grades 4 through 12 a couple weeks ago. And we just came back from break, obviously. This Friday ends the 3rd quarter, which is crazy. I can't believe we're almost done. And this Wednesday and Friday, we're hosting the All County Festival for Band and Chorus. And on Saturday, we're also hosting the Chorus NYSSMA Festival here. Spring sports are in full swing, and there's also a track meet today. And Thursday at 4:30 at Maple Hill, and a baseball game at 4:30 at the Chatham Complex. And lastly, the SATs are scheduled for next Tuesday, and there are actually 43 kids signed up, which is a lot more than last year, I think. So, yeah, on the 21st, Tuesday, yeah. That's everything.
Thank you. That's great. Okay, so now we have our superintendent reports.
Okay, good evening. I first want to just thank everyone for their flexibility of meeting in the cafeteria. The reason we're here today is because the robotics team has kind of taken over the library. So we're going to be going there at the end of my report, and they're going to put on a demonstration for us in the library. But that's why we're all here, because of robotics. But we're happy to give up that space to get them ready for their competition. So first thing I want to do is I want to congratulate Judy Matthews for receiving the CASDA Friends of Education Award. Judy not only is a beloved retired Chatham math teacher, but she continues to serve our district and community as the chair of our Chatham Art and Humanity Foundation, where she leads a committee and awards grants to many different students and organizations to give students opportunities that they would never be able to have on their own. The other thing Judy does, not only, you know, as I said, she taught here, but she also volunteers at the local Chatham area silent pantry, where she's the liaison for our school district. Anytime there's a need for students or families, we call Judy, and she makes amazing things happen for kids and families. So Judy is a good friend of the Chatham Central School District, and we're very, very excited to honor her at the CASDA Award Ceremony. So I will be attending the CASDA Award Ceremony on April 30th to recognize Judy, and that's happening in Albany. So congratulations to our very own Judy Matthews for earning this amazing award. Just a couple calendar updates. May 15th is our capstone presentation day. Last year was the first year that I had the opportunity to take part in this Chatham tradition, and it's one of the finest. School districts all over the region are constantly asking me how that works and how our students are able to do it. It's pretty impressive. So in order to make that happen, we do have an early dismissal on that day. We're dismissing our middle school at 11, our MED at 11:15, and our high school at 11:25. And this enables our teachers and a lot of our faculty to actually participate in the capstone and give feedback to our students. So it's not just a senior capstone, but it's a whole celebration of our seniors and their hard work throughout the year. And it's a really good way to show that they're ready to go out into the world after high school. I also wanted to let everyone know that we are excited about an opportunity that we're having. We're going to be having something called Chatham Central School District Learning Fair. We are going to have this take place actually on May 19th. And being that we invite our community to vote on our school budget and also our board elections, we want to take the opportunity for students to showcase all of their hard work. So we're still in the planning stages, but our plan is to have as many students there as possible with their work, so that way our community that comes into our district on that day can see all the amazing things happening in Chatham. That's still in the process of planning, and I'll share more at our next meeting. We have All County. We're hosting All County this Friday, which is a great opportunity. So All County is all of the Columbia County schools and students that earn the honor to be part of it in either a choir or band. They'll be playing here with a guest conductor on Friday. So if anyone's interested, come on to the event. I also want to remind everyone that our board of it, I'll keep reminding everyone every meeting that we have, but our budget vote and our Board of Election vote is May 19th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. here at MED. Also to remind everyone, board signatures and candidate bios are due April 20th for those interested in running for the school board. I also need to let the board know that there will be a special Board of Education meeting on April 21st at 8 a.m. in the Superintendent Conference Room. This is open to the public, and the only agenda item is going to be to vote for the Questar budget and the Questar board election. So this is something that's a state mandate that every board has to meet on this date to vote for their BOCES budget. A lot of years, it actually aligns well with our board meeting, so we don't have to have a special meeting, but this year it doesn't due to our spring break, so we have to have a special meeting. Like I said, the only thing on this is going to be the Questar budget vote and board vote. So it'll be a very quick meeting. Thank you for your flexibility on that, board. Debbie will be sending an invite out to everyone tomorrow. So a couple things that I wanted to share with everyone. Some great news. Mike, would you mind sharing, passing that out to everybody? So I'll wait till Mike passes this out. And Terry, would you mind passing one of these out? Actually, just give me one of those. Thank you. Oh, they're coming in here. Okay, perfect. Even better. Great. I guess robotics is coming to us. That's even better. So Sandy, as soon as I'm done with this part, we'll have the robotics team come in. All right, I'll wait till everyone gets these two forms. So every single year, the New York State Education Department gives designations to all school districts. So I'll wait till everyone receives this. We have very good news on this. So New York State gives a designee to many different subgroups based upon our students and how they're performing. So if you look at this form, look at the first one that says designations on the top of it. This here, you'll see, if you look at district, it has something called an LSI. That is good. Everyone wants to be on an LSI. That's as good as you can get according to this designation. A couple years ago, they changed the designation. They used to call it target schools, and they had other names for it. And a lot of feedback that was given to the state was that they were kind of demeaning. So they changed the names, and the best thing that you can get is a local support and improvement. And the reason that is what the best you can get is because every single school can get better, right? Every single school district can get better. So that means we could support ourselves locally and we can continue to improve. So that's the best designation we can receive. If you look down the list, those are the other designations, and you'll see every single area we are LSI. So that's great news for every single subgroup. And you might be wondering, how do we get these designations? They're really based on three things. They're based on state test scores in grades 3 to 8 math and ELA and Regents. They're based on student attendance. I'll be doing a presentation on student attendance as well. So that is your chronic absenteeism. And also they're based on graduation rates and the different types of diploma. So you can get different diploma rates for other different pieces as well. So this is really great news, really great news. Any questions on these designations? And a couple notes on here, just so you know, to remind the board, last year we did have a potential risk under Hispanic students. And you will see that that no longer exists. So we're now to LSI. So that means we made improvement in that area as well. All right, so that's really good news. If we dig deeper into this, one other note is that our student scores were impacted due to our large testing refusal rate. So, but we still hit LSI, but that was an area that the state says we need to continue to watch. And as I talked about, that's something we're working on. We're really hoping to see more kids take our 3 to 8 assessments this year. Questions on that? So really good news, really exciting. All right, as promised last meeting, I want to talk about student attendance. So back in the first quarter, we went through the student attendance rates. And how I organized this, I organized it by marking period and grade level. So let's start with MED. Now, just to remind everyone, MED is a little tricky, hence why we waited when we did, because they only have 3 marking periods, right? So the reason I'm presenting this now and didn't present this a couple of weeks ago, because we needed to wait until that marking period ended, which was at the end of March. So now that we have at least a couple subsets for every group, it's a good time to share this data. So if you take a look, the goal is you want to see the largest number possible, because that's the percentage of students present. If you look at the last section, that's our chronically absent percentage of the entire school, right? So you could see we're hitting about a 19.70%, which is a little bit higher than what it was the first marking period. Overall, we're trending higher than we were last year, and I'll talk about those numbers in a minute. If you take a look at the middle school, one category that I added to that was perfect attendance. So if you take a look at quarter 2 and quarter 3, quarter 2 actually, you'll see our chronically absenteeism actually was better than our first quarter, which I was kind of surprised about, at 12.5%. Quarter 3, we were down to 17.5, up 17.5. In a lot of our work that we do when we're talking to families when they're absent, a lot of what families are reporting to us was due to illness. We had a lot of illness going on in January and February especially. So when we talk and when we're looking at our data, most families were saying that it was purely due to my kid being sick. And ever since COVID, we really are always preaching to our families and our students, don't come to school if you're sick, so we're not spreading those germs. So attendance is tricky because ever since COVID, we want to make sure kids don't come to school sick. We always wanted to make sure, but especially since COVID. So if you turn the page and look at the high school. So if you take a look at quarter 1, we're at 18%. Quarter 2, just like in the middle school, we improved in quarter 2 at 16.7% chronically absent. So our numbers looked better. Quarter 3, we trended up a little bit to 20% chronically absent. So that's higher than what we want. It's definitely a focus area we want to continue to grow on, okay? So if we do some comparison data, I grabbed some comparative data there. The 24-25 school report cards have not been released yet. They're usually released in the end of spring, early summer. So when those are done, I'll update that on there. But just for perspective, for a total for the year 23-24, according to New York State, we were at 30.8% chronically absent, 22-23, 28.7, and 21-22, 30.4. So if you average our first 3 quarters together, you're going to notice we're going to be under 20%. We're ranging under 20% right now. I won't have that total number until the school year's over, but we're really trending in the right direction compared to other years for our chronically absent student. And you might be asking, what have we been doing differently? We've been really working to educate our students, educate our families, really following through when it comes to students that are absent, really focusing on students' mental health. A lot of our absences that are not illness related are due to students struggling with their mental health. A lot of different issues with students with chronic absenteeism. There's some challenges at home. So really focusing our mental health support with the families and on the students is a real focus area. Doing home visits, doing check-ins constantly, and really just educating our families on the importance of being here. You really need to come to school unless you're sick, is really what we're saying. And just for comparison data, if you look at New York State in general, 22, they were at 32.6%, and 23, we're at 29.1%. So we have some really good data here. I'm really proud of this data. We still have work to do, right? We're still going to continue to work on that. Spring has a different challenge than illness. Kids get spring fever. Seniors get a little bit more senioritis. They don't always like to come to school at the end. So we're going to keep tracking a lot of that data as well. So the message is here is let's keep our learning engaging, and let's keep our kids excited to come to school and to learn. Any questions on the attendance data?
Just a comment that it's nice to see it trending in the right
Yeah,
direction.
Yeah,
And everything I'm hearing, just kids are happy.
yeah,
Like, sincerely just happy. So
yeah.
it's nice.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal. And the goal is to have, and we're going to see an amazing opportunity in a couple minutes with the robotics, but having those extracurricular activities really help motivate and engage kids. Because what we say is if you want to participate in these activities, you have to come to school.
Yeah.
That really motivates a lot of kids. So it's not just the academic program, but it's our extracurricular program too.
This is encouraging. I honestly didn't expect. This is pretty great in high school. I think the last couple of years have been really different than this. I am curious if the way we're following up with parents right now, are we like, is there like a pie chart that someplace of like the categories of why do we think the kid is chronically absent? And I know it's difficult because parents don't always give concrete feedback,
Sure.
but is that being collected in any way?
Yeah. Our counseling team definitely does that, and that's monitoring it. The new information, the new data system that we created that has all of our academic data also has attendance data in there, so you can really see it there if it's really correlating with academic performance because it's all on one sheet. So that has helped. It's helped target kids a little bit better. So we are collecting it there as well. But our guidance counselor, our mental health team, they really help do a lot of work on that. And our assistant principals are always tracking that, and they're the ones having the conversation with families. But yes, we certainly document it as much as we can. What the if it's an illness is one thing, right? But typically when kids aren't coming to school, it's usually due to some often mental health need or a need at home where their needs aren't being met. Maybe they're having housing issues or in poverty type of issues. And what we do, that's when we get our community leaders like Judy involved to help organize, making our needs, making students' needs met.
Yeah.
So it is all tracked and it is all really organized.
I was just thinking if we had a way to turn that into numbers, category of need, there are community support organizations other than us that can help us with these challenges that many of which we have no control over.
Yeah.
They're outside the school's control. But there are other community engagement groups that if we can draw a box around the need with a number and say we have a population that looks like this, they have this, they're chronically absent because of this, someone might be able to run with that.
Yeah. There's usually a reason why they're not.
Right. So, well, it's not even a long list of reasons, right?
Yeah.
It's a short list of reasons. So we just have to stick them each in a category. And
No, we can look at collecting some more data on those specifics.
But I don't. Sure. It's very challenging, and it's a different challenge for the high school figuring out that because the parents don't even really get involved.
Super challenging.
Where
in elementary, it's really more educating families, right? The importance of being here. So it's very different if you compare the two.
but there, you know, there's food challenges, housing challenges, transportation challenges, and those are things that have solutions, even if we maybe aren't the solution.
Sure. Yeah, no, good stuff.
I would echo that. Is there, for households with multiple students, do we see any trending across families that you're getting groupings in families of children that
You
come
know, it's
in?
interesting. It depends. You know, there sometimes, as we know in families, kids are very different often. So there are some families where all their kids will be absent on the same day. There's others that there's one chronically absent and the other one has great attendance, right? So it's so tricky. It's so tricky. So I haven't really seen a correlation on that, you know, necessarily. In some cases, yes. And the cases, especially in elementary school, it's more common to be all the students not coming, you know, especially due to housing challenges or families are in flux, you know, they're moving back and forth with different family members for different reasons. Those are, unfortunately, happens too much. Yeah, it's interesting information. We'll continue to dig on it and we'll continue to work towards showing improvement. You know, we always want to get better, but I'm optimistic. Let's see how quarter 4 goes, but I'm optimistic we'll see a better trend than what we saw last year and the years before. One last thing I just wanted to mention was, I don't know if anyone came in the front door, you might have noticed some of the stonework being done. So our contractors did quite a bit of work over April break. They did a lot of the stonework in the front lobby. If you walk through there, you'll see that they're currently still working on it. There's one section of the wall that they're still working on, but they got a lot done. And that's a very hard job. It's a very, you know, piece by piece, they're putting every piece together. So I'm really happy that they were able to get that done. Also, the epoxy floor in the lab, in the tech lab, is complete. There's some final touches that they're working on in that. The bathroom by the gymnasium is out of service because they're completely remodeling that. They've already demoed it, and they're going to be starting to do some tile work very soon. So we're moving along on that. The display cases that were being updated, those have been mostly put in. If you walk around the school, you'll see those. They did some more flooring work. So they did a lot over April break, which I was really happy to see. The goal is that all of our phase 2 will be done very soon. That way we don't have to even think about it as we start this summer in phase 3. The last thing I have is our amazing robotics team. So I would like to introduce Sandy Fisher and her team. And also, who else? Is Kay Rossi here? Excellent. So Kay Rossi's here with the middle school team. They have a big competition coming up this weekend at the MVP Arena. If anyone is interested in attending this, I would highly recommend it. I'll be attending sometime on Friday and likely on Saturday as well. I was able to go last year, and I have to say, you know, seeing it right now is one thing, but seeing them work in a group with all these other teams was it was unbelievably amazing. So I'm really excited to take a look at this again. So we have our middle school team here, and we have our high school team. So we have Kay Rossi, who works with our middle schoolers. Sandy Fisher. Is Mr. Fisher not here today? Doing taxes. Oh, yeah, get those done. So a big thank you to these amazing advisors. The amount of time and work that they put into this is unbelievable. So a big thank you to them. Sandy. All right, I'll give it to you guys. Feel free. There's a right over there, Sandy. You can use that one.
Hello, my name is Emerson Sublett, and we are the Chatham Circuits. We are 7th through 9th grade, and this season was Decode. We had to shoot artifacts into a tower to score points. Matches are 2 teams against 2 teams. We competed in January at Brattleboro Perth and Albany Academy. We ranked 11 out of 22 teams, and we were selected by an alliance and made it 3 rounds in the final matches. And now we will demonstrate on how the robot works.
strategy that they wanted to use to be able to pick up the field pieces and be able to shoot them. They worked with Mr. Fisher in designing the 3D prints. And so everything that you see that's white or orange is 3D printed. And then Hayden, here somewhere, he's a freshman. He helped with the coding to code it because everything uses like a drag and drop coding thing. There we go. You could just hold the microphone too.
So how this spot works, you take the artifact, it'll go in through here. Is it on? The intake. And it'll go in through here. It'll go up to this little compartment here, and then this little lever right here will lift up, and while these wheels spin, and the wheel will shoot out up into the hoop. The intake, it was like a difficult process because intake, since there was nothing in here to keep the ball steady on its path all the way to the shooter, it would spin off and just go to the side and sometimes break the rubber bands that keep it there. So we put grip tape. We put grip tape in the bottom to keep it steady, and we put these little triangles in here to give it a path all the way up there, and it can hold 3 balls maximum. And the shooter, we had like a different design for it before. We had different wheels. They were black, and whenever the ball would get shot, it would get scratched up, and the wheels, they would have like the scratched up part of the ball on the wheels, so it wasn't consistent, and you could see the scratches on the ball. The wheels, it would be very inconsistent, would go left and right. It wouldn't go the same distance all the time, so you had to change the wheels. And I say that this was a very successful season because a lot of us, we were like, me and him we have done this last year, and then everyone else, they're rookies. So I'd say that it was a very successful season. Anything else?
One thing that I have to say is actually there's a kickstand on the bottom of it. So when it's end game, we can actually put up the kickstand and lift up half of our rollback, so we take up half of the space. So we can get a full park much easier.
And the name of our robot is Rotisserie Chicken, based off the intake and how the ball spun in the bottom.
That's great. When the intake wasn't working, when the ball would spin in the middle, basically it would just stay in the middle, right there, and it would just spin there and not move at all. And that's like the way a rotisserie chicken cooks, so we named it Rotisserie Chicken.
Something to note with these guys is I'm a high school teacher. They're all middle schoolers except for Hayden, who was our rookie 9th grader this year. So every day coming up to competition, they would come from the middle school down to the high school in the middle of the winter to spend a couple hours working on this. They're a very, very hardworking group, and I'm very proud of what they've done. For your support of our team.
Thank you.
That is great.
Would you mind, real quick, middle schoolers, would you mind just saying your name and your grade? Just so I think it's really important to know. Where are you, Aiden? Oh, he went back. Okay. Oh, no. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. Nice
Thank
job.
you. That's impressive.
So I know Ashley is new, so she missed my spiel last year. One thing to note about this first robotics group, they start in elementary school with Lego League. The first tech challenge, which our middle schoolers do, is actually for grades 7 through 12. So when they're competing at competition, they're competing against teams that are all high schoolers. And for them to be able to show up at a competition, to engage with high schoolers, to form alliances with high schoolers and be able to strategize is really cool. And, you know, I talk about the capstone skills all the time, and, you know, these kids are nailing it with the perseverance and the resilience and the problem solving and the communication and the professionalism. The middle schoolers, part of what they have to do in the tech challenge is present to a panel about how they designed the robot, what the successes and challenges were, what their strategy is, how they work as a team. And for some of these guys, it's, you know, it's the first time that they're speaking to adults that they don't know. And they do it really well. And it's such a great learning experience for them. I've got half of my high school team here. The other half is on the track and baseball teams. So they're out competing. And I'm going to turn it over to Reed. He's the season captain this year. Nora, who also is a senior, she was our off-season captain. And it's awesome. Enjoy.
So this year compared to last year was a little bit different for a number of reasons, but I'm really proud of everything our team has been able to do. We've had a lot of challenges this year, but I'm really proud of what we've done so far. So this year, the challenge is called Rebuilt, and compared to last year was obviously a very good year for us. We made it to Worlds. We made it to playoffs for the second time ever on our team. And this year, we lost 6 seniors on a team of 14. That's a lot for us. So this year, it's been really amazing how much new faces we've had on our team. Around 60% of our team is newbies, which is one of our challenges throughout this whole year. And another thing is a lot of these newbies are coming into roles that have been held by people who've had experience all throughout high school, like our last year, our driver, he was also our captain, he was our coder. So we just have all this knowledge loss, and we're trying to build up this knowledge over time. So we have an all newbie drive team, we have a newbie coder lead. He's handing out the pens right now, but a lot of newbies, and that's been really great for our team. And then another thing since last year is we've had 700% increase in female participation on our team, which has been really amazing compared to last year where it was just Nora. But so now I'm going to explain a little bit about the challenge. This year, our goal is to score. I don't if you want to pass that around, just so everyone can see. But sorry, that is called a fuel, and our goal, it's kind of archaeology themed, but it's to shoot that ball into the hub. There's different bots that achieve it in different ways, but we have what's called a dump. So, Aiden, I don't know if you want to like demonstrate it. Oh, are we good there? I think we can wait. But basically,
So Reed, did you say I know last year was an ocean theme.
Yeah.
So what's this theme this year?
archaeology.
Archaeology.
I would say the theming is a little weaker this year, but
Okay. All right. No,
it's
it's
still,
still good.
still supposed to be archaeology. Hence, our robot's name this year is Rome, because it's like history, and it wasn't built in a day. I think I want to get into a little bit of the design this year and how our team has changed since last year. A lot of these newbies aren't necessarily technical, and that's been really great for our team, so we can have them in different roles. This year, we were really pushed for outreach into our community and with other teams, and our fundraising. This year, we 5x'd business sponsorship revenue from around $2,500 to over $12,000, I think, by now, which has been really amazing and has allowed us to invest in some long-term things that we'll be using for years to come that has really helped us level up as a team. We have all new Swerve, which is how we drive. It's basically shopping cart wheels on motors, but that's been really great. So now we have 2 bots with that, so we can practice with one while we're building on our main bot. And then the other thing that new sponsorship revenue has allowed us to do is invest in an amazing 3D printer that we've been using that all season. And as you can see, it's a lot of parts on our team, especially compared to other teams we've had. We were resourceful with a lot of our resources, and a lot of that has come in the form of 3D prints. And that's been really incredible having a new 3D printer for that. And then with outreach, that's something we've really pushed for this year. We've started a lot of new programs. We have Origami for Good, which is where we create 1,000 paper cranes and give them for a good cause. And we've been connecting with teams at competitions, like our last competition, Hudson Valley Regional. We gave origami kits out to every single team there, and they were able to build some cranes and give them back to us as a way to connect with different teams around us. We also started this program where we've given trophies to deserving teams at our competitions that we feel represents something that isn't necessarily awarded by first, but that we think is really cool. And that's been a really nice way that we've been able to connect with new teams, and we've built a lot of new connections with teams around us, and I think that's been really incredible this year. I think that's about, oh yeah, we've also partnered with the Ecology Club to recycle our old plastics. We're at Tech Valley next week. We're planning, or this week actually, but this week we're planning to hand out these battery clips to every single team at competition, and that will allow us to reuse zip ties instead of wasting them every time, and that keeps our batteries secure so they don't pop out, because that happened at our last competition. But another way we connect with different teams at our competitions. Ready for demonstration? Okay, first I'm just gonna let them demonstrate, and as they're doing that, I'm gonna go through the different parts of our robot. So as you can see, Charlie's dumping out the fuel. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's why we've taken over the library from you guys, because it's really the only space we have for, oh, that doesn't usually happen. Okay. So that thing that just flipped down is called the intake. It's going to spin really fast, and it's going to suck them into our bot, into our hopper. And in our hopper, we have a belt system that brings it into our shooter. This is all custom. Everything we do is very creative and frankly awesome. Right now, we're using a vision system called Limelight, and that, along with our Oculus Quest, and that's lining up with those QR codes called April tags, and it's using that data to figure out how far it is, what angle it needs to shoot at. We've had problems with our retractable net today that we're working on fixing, but it's been pulling out our hopper too much because this forces a spring. But usually we're able to lift up our intake, and that brings the balls into the shooter, which means we can score balls really quick. We can shoot around 15 balls a second, which is really fast compared to a lot of teams around us. And that's something we've really worked on since Hudson Valley Regional. Our last regional, we were only able to shoot from set positions, but since then, we've used the Limelight and the Quest data, which has been something new this year. I don't know if you want to turn the bot around so they can see that. Yeah. But using that data has allowed us to be able to shoot from anywhere on the field, and it's been really helpful, and I think it'll really increase how quickly we are able to shoot. And I'm going to move her over here so I can show you what's guiding our shooting. This right here, this little camera right here, that tracks the April tags, and that gives us our positioning data. And this right here is our Oculus Quest. It is a VR headset, the same one you can buy off the shelf, but it has some really nice systems that give us really accurate positioning anywhere on the field. We just set it up once, and it's been incredible so far. It was a little hard because it's not exactly adapted to the programming language we're using, but once we got it set up, it's been great. It's been especially helpful for the autonomous period, which is the first 20 seconds of the game, where we're not allowed to touch the robot, and it does everything on its own. So it was really nice to know exactly where we are in the field, and that has allowed us to move around easier, shoot accurately every time. It's been really incredible. Going going into Tech Valley, the last major improvement we've had since Hudson Valley was we're adding the net, and that's to give our hopper capacity a big boost from around 45 to hopefully 55 plus, and also mean balls don't bounce in, which I know counterintuitive, but we get a foul for that. So we're hoping those improvements will really help us in Tech Valley. We're also creating an auto, which should be able to score a good amount of balls in auto, which we didn't really have at Hudson Valley. At Hudson Valley was one of our best starts to any year so far. It was our third year where we've made it to playoffs out of our 10-year history. And we were picked by the third alliance, which is the highest we've ever been picked at our first regional, that means by their logic, we were the sixth best team there. So I'm really proud of everything we've done. And going into Tech Valley, I'm really excited about what we're going to be able to do. We're going against a little stronger competition, but I'm hoping we'll do great, and I think we'll do great. Anything else you guys want to add? Okay. Any questions?
Just so I can tell you that.
So we're going to competing at the MVP Arena in Albany from Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think it starts around 8 and goes to 5-ish. You can also see our matches online through either Blue Alliance or YouTube. YouTube, just type in Tech Valley Regional and you'll see us. We'll be playing throughout the day, but not every match. You can go to Nexus and type in our team number, 6621. And from there, you can see our match schedule if you want to see exactly when we're playing.
If anyone is interested, my plan is to go down to the MVP Arena at 1 o'clock. I'm happy to meet anyone, and I went last year, and it was amazing. But if anyone's interested, let me know. Be happy to meet you. You don't need a ticket. You can just walk right in, and it's remarkable to see it in action. Would you all mind just introducing yourself, and if you're a senior, tell us your name, your grade, and what your plan is after high school if you're a senior.
So I'm Reed Fish. I'm the senior. I'm the captain, and I'm going to U Chicago and studying economics. Probably. Don't really know when I'm studying it.
Good for you. Congratulations. Any other seniors?
I'm also a senior. I'm Nora Southerden, and after high school, I plan to go to college for theater, design, and engineering.
Congratulations. Good for you. Even if you're not a senior, just tell us your name and grade.
I'm Aiden McShane. I'm a junior.
As you heard, my name is Pax Cooper, and I'm also a junior.
My name is Aiden Dallas, and I'm a junior.
My name is Kyler Herbus, and I'm also a junior.
My name is Dax Patel, and after high school, I really want to become a pilot, and I'm looking forward to go aviation college.
My name is Charles Rose, and I'm a sophomore.
My name is Nari Genti, and I'm a sophomore as well.
Let's give them all a round of applause.
So as Reed said, we'll be competing at the Tech Valley Regional this week. We'll be competing against 59 other teams. The top teams in New York State will be competing against us and with us. We'll also have teams from Turkey, Canada, Brazil, and Taipei, Chinese Taipei. So it's a great experience for these kids to work with international teams, to meet kids from all over the world, to network, to make friends. Our alliance at the Hudson Valley Regional, the alliance captain was the Crown, which was from Turkey. So it's an incredible opportunity for these kids, and I hope you guys come see us in person because it doesn't do it as much justice when you watch it on YouTube. But I will send schedule and links to Mr. Court for him to easily forward to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you all. That's impressive, all the work you put into that.
And we'll be in the library if you guys get done and come check us out.
Thanks, guys. You still have, are you done? Yeah.
we are assessing. What I told Sandy is we're looking to see where we come out on the capital project, and if we have any leftover funds, we can look into it.
They do also have some lower cost wish items, I think, as well, but. This is the final version?
Okay, I get to follow that. That's awesome for me. And that was great. So tonight for my academic update, I just wanted to share with all of you a little bit on what we've been doing in regard to the portrait of a graduate. So I know throughout this year, a couple times, Andrew has shared this handout with you before. I know in October, I shared with you a little bit about redefining Ready, a cohort we were in. I'll mention that a little bit tonight. But I wanted to share what we've been doing here locally in this regard. So some of this will be review, and a lot of it will be new updates for you. The New York State Portrait of a Graduate outlines a shared vision for student success, emphasizing holistic development, culturally responsive practices, and future readiness. It is one of the 4 transformations of the New York State Blue Ribbon Commission, which, over the last couple of years we've talked a lot about. Those 4 transformations to review with you. One of them is the portrait of a graduate, and all districts are asked to adopt their own portrait. Redefining credits, which I guess in summary, I could just say it gets away from relying on seat time and more about demonstrating proficiency. In other words, gaining credit in different ways, not just seat time for taking an exam at the end, but maybe internships, work-based learning, arts, things like that. So it's kind of a wide open field. Third is sunsetting diploma assessment requirements. So the word that the state uses a lot is decoupling regents. So they won't go away, but decoupling them, meaning they won't necessarily be required. There is some federal ESSA regulations that mean some regents will still be out there. I know we've talked a bit about that. Not a ton of clarity yet, but we're working toward that. And then the 4th transformation was moving to 1 diploma. So currently you can have a local diploma, a regents diploma, a regents with advanced designation. This would mean 1 diploma, and then you would have seals or endorsements to it. So those are those 4. And what I wanted to focus on tonight was the portrait of a graduate. So SCD is asking each school to essentially create their own portrait of a graduate based on the handout you all have in front of you. So here in Chatham, we have established a portrait of a graduate committee that has met regularly since November. The committee is made up of building and district administrators, as well as teachers from all 3 buildings. At these meetings, we have done a lot. We have had many robust discussions on the graduation measures, the 6 tenets of a portrait of a graduate. So those are those tenets that being academically prepared, creative innovator, critical thinker, reflective and future focused, global citizen, effective communicator. What does all that really mean? They give explanations, but we're trying more, I think, to say, what does that mean here in Chatham to us and to our students? We have crosswalked our Chatham capstone skills with these and created a document. I know you can probably guess they all fit very easily, which is great, which kind of puts us, I think, a little bit ahead of some places. We've looked at examples of district-specific portraits that other schools have already adopted. There are some schools who have theirs done. So we've kind of taken a look at those and what they look like and what they came up with. We've begun developing what we are starting to see as our portrait of a panther, is kind of a loose verbiage we've been using. as we get closer. And then we've set a real hopeful goal to have a draft of our Portrait of a Panther by the end of this school year that we would then be able to share out widely and get feedback on. So we've done a lot since November. This committee also recognizes the importance of collaboration in this initiative. So some collaborative actions we've taken. The Redefining Ready, I know I shared that with you in October, but let's briefly say Andrew and I are part of this Redefining Ready New York. It's a statewide cohort that is offered in partnership with AASA, the National Superintendent's Network, NISCUS, and Questar 3 BOCES are all kind of involved in that group. And it's focused on a comprehensive approach to college, career, and life readiness for all students, and it's structured around Portrait of a Graduate. Andrew and I attend regular online meetings with this cohort, and members from all around the state join these meetings. So it's interesting just to hear what other schools are doing. We do breakout sessions and talk with folks from all around the state, which is insightful and interesting and leads to some good discussion. And we've also attended 2 site visits. So in the fall, we went to East Syracuse Manoa Central School District. And then recently we went to Owego Appalachian School District. And both of these site visits were just amazing. I think they were really rewarding, thought-provoking, inspirational. I mean, to see some of the things. When you walk into another school and you're an educator, I just think you are already jazzed to see something new and different. And these 2 schools were chosen for many, many reasons. And they're doing some pretty amazing things. And then Andrew's actually organized a team of teachers from this committee, and we're going to take them to East Syracuse Manoa and see some of the same things that we got to see. So that's pretty exciting. We have a team that are members of a regional Portrait of a Graduate design team, and the whole collective is a group of 5-person teams from around the region, and we meet as a gigantic cohort. And really, the goal of this work again is to share what we're doing, learn what other schools are doing, ask questions, decipher some of the information that's shared with us. This team is made up, again, of 3 teachers, 1 from each building, Miles Wheat, principal here, and myself. So we have another meeting coming up next month. And it's very helpful to be a part of that because I think it gives us the information and the group connections to guide what we're doing as well. Right before break on April 2nd, I organized what I called an innovation tour with a team of teachers from the elementary and middle school. And we did this in an effort to learn more about how we can continue to develop what we're doing at the MED library, which is kind of reimagining it not as just a library, but as a library and an innovative space. Maybe a maker space, maybe other uses. We're learning and we're getting better and better with that. So with this team, we went to UAlbany's E-Tech building, and we learned about the amazing programs and resources that they have. And we toured their maker space that they have there and made some connections about maybe some future partnerships with them. When we arrived, one of the associate dean of E-Tech was there, but a former Chatham student who was a student at UAlbany at E-Tech joined us. So that was pretty neat. And it was just kind of neat. Some of the teachers that were there had this young man as a student. And so it was neat it brought a little bit of reality to it. After we left E-Tech, we went to Forts Ferry Elementary School and Shaker Middle School in the North Colony School District. They have innovation labs, they're called. And I don't know that we're looking to, completely imitate what they're doing, but it was great to see a successful innovation space in both an elementary and a middle school. And so that was helpful. We debriefed after, and I think everyone felt like we got a lot out of that day. And I just say these site visits that I mentioned that Andrew and I went on, and then this tour, being on the regional team, you can't do this work in isolation. And I think the more that we can learn and the more that we can bring into this is going to make our portrait of a Panther even better when we get to that point soon. I just say, I guess I'll end by saying all of this work, the 4 transformations, the portrait of a graduate, this is going to take a very long time. This isn't anything that has to be done by summer or next year. But undoubtedly the work has started, and districts who are embracing this and moving forward with it will be very well served, and we are. I'm really excited about our committee that we have here. The folks on it are actively participating. And then it's nice to see we're starting to see connections between this and the teacher leaders and other initiatives from the state, our MTSS program, a lot of things, robotics. You can bring so many things together when you think about it, and sometimes when things don't seem connected, it seems a little overwhelming. We're starting to make those connections, which is probably the most valuable piece. So, Andrew, is there anything you wanted to add of any of the stuff we've been doing?
Terry, you're giving me goosebumps. You really are.
It's exciting.
This is the future of education. Our schools in the United States have looked the same for many, many decades, right? This work is really innovating education, and it really starts with this portrait of a Panther. So, we've been meeting since November, but the work has been really hard and difficult, but really exciting. So we are really taking the time to make sure we get this really right, and we make sure we're making sure that we have buy-in, because this is going to be the future of Chatham, this Panther. Our professional development will be based around it. Our goals will be based around it. And we're reinventing how we do things. We're not changing everything because we're doing a lot of great things, but it really can make us more innovative in our approach. We're also hopeful that when New York State comes out with some of the changes in Part 200 or Part 100, it's going to be different graduation requirements, different diploma requirements. We're really hopeful that it will all kind of come together with this portrait of a student, because we need more flexibility in our classes and our standards in order to make sure we are making the changes that our kids need today. So it's really exciting work. I want to thank Terry for his leadership. It's been incredibly impressive. We're very fortunate to have his leadership and his passion in this work, and I'm excited for the future. Thank you, Terry, for all your work.
Thank you.
I was listening in the hallway. So
Okay.
Okay, so we are in our busy season in our special education department. Myself and our 2 CSE chairpersons, we've currently held 159 annual review and reevaluation meetings, and we have another 49 scheduled between now and the next board meeting. So our days are full, but we have the same mission. We're looking to make sure we're providing our students what they need in the least restrictive environment, and providing them with opportunities to grow and be successful. We're also planning our extended school year. So as we have our meetings, some students will be recommended to attend our summer programming for our extended school year. So once we have those numbers set, we'll be hiring staff to provide the special education instruction and the related service instruction for the summer. This is a 6-week program. We're going to be running from July 1 to August 11th. We're also looking at, and I'm working with Terry and Andrew on this, for our summer professional development, really looking at providing our teachers, and really specifically our general education teachers, with the knowledge and support that they need to work with our students who may learn differently. So we're having a co-teaching training over the summer for our teachers who will be in co-teaching partnerships at all grade levels. And that is really exciting. We're having that the beginning of August. We're also having some training for therapeutic crisis intervention in schools. We're very fortunate to have 3 in-house trainers who have been trained and are certified to provide that, the turnkey training. So we are setting up a calendar over the summer to provide some training for some additional staff members so that they can be on the crisis team within their buildings. And we're also, this is in the really early stages. We met to talk about bringing unified sports to Chatham. That's a program that is in collaboration with the Special Olympics of New York State. We are a small district, so we're going to be speaking with some of our neighboring districts to see if they have interest in partnering and creating a team. Our goal is to be on the court and have a team for next spring for basketball. But we are in the early stages. We're seeing with kids and parents of interest, and we'll be discussing with our neighboring districts. But we're always looking to bring more opportunities, not just for our students with disabilities, but for all of our students, because this program has such wide-reaching effects. So more to come on that.
Could I just ask, I know that last time this came up, there was some question on how interested our neighboring districts would be. This is probably a question for Andrew, and I don't want to speak for the whole board, but we should talk about it right now. I think our board would probably be in support of a direct board-to-board letter if that would be useful in creating some interest.
So are you referring to Unified Sports?
Yes, Unified Sports specifically.
Ichabod and I, the superintendent of Ichabod and I, have been talking about this for a while, so they're very interested.
Okay, you think that'll be enough?
I do.
Okay.
We're planning a meeting. It's not a guarantee, but because we have the football relationship already, it just seemed kind of natural. And we happened to be at a conference together, and we both just were talking, and we both said, "Wouldn't it be great to come up with a unified team?" We looked at each other, and how about we partner? So it was that's how it kind of came out.
All right. Well, if needed, we're here.
If needed, yeah, no, for sure. So right now, what we're doing is we're just trying to see what our student interest is. So we sent. Stephanie sent out an interest letter to our families to see who would be interested in playing. And once we have an idea what our numbers are, then we'll schedule a meeting with Ichabod, and we'll start the conversation.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I just have a couple questions. How do we have any teachers that are going to be getting any summer training for OG?
From the special ed department, all of our teachers have been trained for OG. I believe once assignments are placed, we'll do a teacher from the middle school, but I can't speak to the gen ed teachers.
On that, Terry, I'm forgetting where those discussions went. We talked about training other teachers in Orrin Gillingham.
Yeah, we looked at middle school especially. So any students who have done the OG training maybe need a little more,
Yeah.
right? Because they didn't necessarily
I just know it's
complete.
really, like, the elementary school has a lot of support, and I
Yep.
feel like I'm not sure that the middle school does.
Yeah, and not all kids, graduate from it or
Right.
complete it. So that
Right.
was what we had talked about as next step is having that support for the kids who still need it.
Right.
So looking at that training.
My other question.
And Terry, was that going to be a general ed teacher? Remind me. I know we
were still looking at doing that in special education.
Okay. And I know the hard part with that is we have to wait to see who's teaching what before we identify who's doing it. So that is our plan, is to get someone else trained.
I know you're only you still have 49 more IEPs to go through, but did we have a lot of children that graduated? We did. Good. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we definitely have an increase in students who are, exiting our program.
Right.
A lot of students who may have just received a related service like speech and language I've seen an incredible increase in the declassification of speech-only students because we are able to provide that support so early on. But I will have those numbers once we finish the meeting. But yes, we have a definite increase this year.
And Stephanie, have we had I know you're new, so it's hard for you to know the numbers from last year, but have we had a decrease in new intakes as well, would you say? I thought.
Yeah. Due to the MTSS system that we now have in place that has a real systematic way of looking at our students, the initial referrals to special education have been significantly less. And I can have those numbers as well as compared to previous years, but we're able to address any areas of weakness in the general education environment before it leads to a referral to special education. But
we'll collect that data and share it with you at the end of the year once everything's done.
Thank you, Stephanie. Mike, I'm ready to do the budget review.
All right, so Finance Committee met, was our last meeting, and then we have the budget for adoption tonight by the board, and then we will do the public hearing and the vote. So I want to thank David Laveau again in April Mountain. We started in October and quite a few meetings and got to the end of the process. We had a discussion on the tax levy, and then Andrew and Pat Giuliano from the district and then Mariana and Nikki were on the committee. So I want to thank everyone for their time and their commitment to this. And I think overall it was that we came up with a very good budget. So the next slide. So state aid, since we don't have an on-time budget, the governor and the legislators, and I'm not sure when that's going to happen, similar to last year, we're going to go with the executive budget. I'm not anticipating many changes because for foundation aid, the top line or operating aid, we're getting, she did 1%. So, could you get a little bit more money, but you can see 1% was 51,000. So I can't see a lot of changes to that. It is an election year. So the two positives were, instead of getting a super low number, we're getting 1% or possibly a little more, but the hold harmless was off the table. So those are two positive things because it is an election year. All these other numbers we discussed in January, they all stayed the same. Private excess high cost is for special ed reimbursements based on students. BOCES aid, I discussed how we're at the minimum 36%, that's the floor. So we used to be 50, last year we went to 36.6, now we're 36. So we would be about 28% if you ran the formula, so at least we're protected there. Transportation ticked up a little bit from 18 to 20%. But I did highlight the one thing I want to talk about is the building aid. So that was not on the executive run. I put that number and I worked with our Munistat, our bond advisor. We tried to match and it worked successfully, matching the expenses with the revenue so we could keep our tax cap lower. Because if you don't match them, it could raise your tax cap significantly. And it's a capital project, so sometimes it makes it challenging to go out at that level. We added those 660, so that was in green. So that $660,706 increase, otherwise it would have been kind of flat, is for the project. So that is going to match up with the expenses to offset the expenses there. So total state aid is 747, 685 seems significant, but really it's that building aid, and that's going to match our debt that we have, and I'll talk about on the expense side. So that's what we talked about in January, pretty much the same thing. Next slide. Then our other revenue. So we do have some other revenue. You can see it's 759,741. It dropped slightly, and I'll discuss why. Penalties on taxes, 2% if you pay late, and we pretty much get around that much every year. About the same number of people pay late. And that's consistent since my 14 years here. Continuing ed, driver's ed, mainly driver's ed here. But then the students pay for that. So this is, there's an expense and there's a revenue that just washes out. So that's not really, doesn't add anything to our budget or take away. Interest is the big one. So a couple of years ago, remember, a few years ago, we were getting like $100,000 a year. The rates were extremely low. Those rates went up. I negotiated with the bank of Greene County a couple of years ago, and I wanted higher rates. So they came in well above surrounding areas, which I was very happy, and they've kept that rate. So I've been checking on that, and they've done a great job of a relationship. Rates are dropping though, so we were at 5% last year, and they've been going down. We're a little over 3.6. The federal government would like to have rates lower, so that could significantly impact us, but I feel comfortable keeping that amount. Last year I didn't raise it significantly because I said it can go up or it can go down, so we'll keep it at 485. But if rates do drop significantly, we would have it'd be close to cover that. Pilot payment in lieu of taxes, senior apartments above the old price chopper. You get a small increase every year on that. I know we have one more year left, and I got to check with the town or the village. That might fall off, and then it would go on our tax rolls. Rental of property and buses, really, it's our buses now. We don't have Head Start anymore, so we took that money out last year, but we do rent buses out occasionally and get some revenue from that. So other revenue is the one I started to decrease. And what that was is we used to get more prescription rebates, health insurance rebates. We had more tuition students. So that's starting to go away. So tuition students, down to like the 1. We used to have 4 or 5 that live out of district that pay to come here. And some of them graduated, and it's difficult because it's quite expensive to come out of district, quite expensive tuition. And then the prescription, we talked about the cost of prescription. So we used to get these money back. Those rebates are gone. We're starting to trend negative in that account because of the high rates in that. So that money's kind of going away. What I did do is I took the rebates of prescription and health insurance and I spread them out over years so we could keep kind of a steady stream, and like next year's kind of like going to be it. So that'll be adjusted probably further downward the next budget. Medicaid reimbursement, that's been consistent for our IEP students with Medicaid eligible. So OT, PT, speech, we get money for that. So on the whole, most things similar except for that, adjustment to the other revenue. So we're dropping 49,000 there. Next slide. So when we look at the revenue side, state aid, we talked about a big increase because of the capital project, but we got some foundation money. We're not losing money like last year. Other revenue, slight drop, Medicaid flat, and then property taxes. So it was nice. We had a good discussion with the committee. I'd like to ask especially the community members, because we're going out to raise taxes. The goal was to go under the cap. Cap was 2.1, which is low, but we talked about getting some money and using our ERS reserve. So we are going to use our reserve, and we decided on, after discussion, 1.75%. So that's what we're looking to raise taxes. We're looking at helping out the taxpayer because, costs, gasoline and things have gone up, but we're also looking long-term for the district and where we're going. And I'll talk about that on another slide. Appropriated fund balance, this is the contingencies that we've had built in our budget since I started, and we want to cover those so we can carry those over year to year. One thing I will note on that, so if you ever said, take out the excess, some of the contingencies in your budget. So if we took out that money, I would take this line out too, because otherwise you would run into a major deficit if you didn't match those. So it really wouldn't have an impact on taxes. Use of unassigned fund balance, we started using the last couple of years. We kept it flat. But the one thing, and I'll show on the expense side, is we're using the employee retirement system reserve, $741,000. We're taking that budget line and making it 0. So it's bringing our budget down. We're going to do that as a committee we discussed because we feel comfortable with that reserve level. We think it's higher. We want to bring it down. So we're going to have to do that next year and the next couple of years, but eventually we got to close that gap. So total revenue, $1.152 million, and then that'll match the next slide. We'll go through the expenditures. So this is a summation of everything we talked about over the last few months. General support, remember that's district office, business office, legal, the board. It also includes operations and maintenance. It's very small increase, $30,000 or 0.71%. We had a position that we reduced out of the business office, so that saved a significant amount of money. Instructional side, 3.82. This is everything, pre-K to 12 teachers, assistants, teacher aides, special ed. So everything's wrapped up in this. Remember what we said is pretty much every budget line we discussed this in finance committee, we kept flat. Except for salaries went up per contract, and we had to get competitive. So they were higher than usual, but we had to be competitive with the surrounding areas. BOCES costs went up 2% or less, so that was another line item. And then really the other driver, the debt and the health insurance. Transportation, won't see this often, especially with fuel and things going up. We dropped 101,000. That is because we had 2 retirements, head mechanics, and we hired new people, so that saved a lot of money in breakage. And then the other mechanic became our supervisor, and so there was more breakage there. So that's a one-time, one-year thing, but that helped our budget. Employee benefits, I put the asterisk. It's now down to 64,000 only, or 0.59%. And then you see on the bottom, we utilized that reserve. So we took 741,000, and we're budgeting 0. So that's really, we're using the reserve to balance our budget. to bring it lower to lower the taxes. Health insurance came in, so we were at 7% for the health piece and then 30% for prescription, which was the highest I've seen, ever for here. That did come down a little bit, 25%. But one positive that Andrew, we were able to get the Prudent RX approved with all the unions. We had to have that, so the specialty drugs, we can get those discounts. So we should see next year savings in that. Hopefully that rate, it's based on usage. Hopefully that'll come down now some. So we've had 2 high health insurance years in a row, which makes it difficult. Debt service, so you can see 46%. That's the new project. So we issued $488,977 in new debt for our bonds. But remember, we had $660,000 in revenue, so we're matching that. So we have more than enough to offset that. So when you look at the bottom, 3.17%, if you took that debt out, because it matches the revenue and the capital, we'd be at only 1.82% increase in our budget. So extremely low, much lower than 5% we discussed at the last meeting. So interfund transfers we discussed, that's the cafeteria, the library, summer school special ed, and then the bus and capital project, $100,000 capital project. Really the only increase there was that we talked about someone in the library took a health insurance plan instead of a buyout. So that was the increase for that. So everything we discussed, but we did bring obviously using the reserve. I finally show that here, and you can see that we got the budget much lower, the expenses, and like I said, without the debt, because we have revenue to offset, it'd be 1.82. Let's see the next one. So reduction, so we saved almost $380,000, which helped. I remember last year we took out 12 positions, but this was nice because we could do it with resignations and retirements. So middle school assistant principal resigned, replaced with a part-time dean, very small extra fee for that due to declining enrollment. A middle school teacher and middle school teacher assistant, same thing, retired, we don't have to replace. And then the business office, we used some small stipends to cover that position. So that definitely helped also bring down the budget. Next one. I show this because, there's you always hear about 2% tax caps. Well, that's one part of the 8-step formula. So you can see, now this is the cap that schools could go to without a supermajority. So meaning they could go out and get 50% at one vote. But you can just see the variability of this from 7.33 to 0.45. And like I said, this is what the cap is. Now, it doesn't mean the districts are going to go out at that level. One of the things is, like, we matched our revenue and our debt with the capital project. Since we matched it, we kept our cap lower. You can see if you can't match that, and some years you can't, sometimes it doesn't work out. You can see that the rates can be very high, like 7%. The hard thing is if you had a capital project approved and then end up being 7%, it might be hard to go out at that amount. And if you don't, then you're not paying for the project and you're leaving money on the table. So it was nice that this matched up for us. Next slide. So we, Dave Laveau actually said, why don't we highlight some of the, the number of years that we've gone under the cap. So 15 years in this chart, since it started, the cap, we've gone out 10 years, we've been under the cap. So he said that was pretty impressive. And like I said, we went out 175 this year. And then the years we didn't go out, besides the first year that it was implemented, the 0.66, 0.89, some of those years were extremely low. So we went to the cap. So we've been trying to, balance taxpayer needs and school needs. And so our average rate over these 15 years is 2.04%. And inflation, and one thing I was looking at, because that's one of the issues. So our budgets are getting tighter. We discussed this because contingent money is going away. Inflation over the last 5 years is 4.48%. Our levies average 2.61. So obviously the budgets are going to get tighter since inflation's going up, costs are going up, and we're still going less than that. So inflation this year is 2.63. We're going 1.75. So I was very happy we could do that. Next slide is, so summing up the levy, we could go up at 2.10315%. That's the tax cap allowable amount where you don't have to have a super majority of 60%. And we decided at 1.75. And like I said, I want to thank the committee and the public members because we spent some time really talking about where to put that levy amount. Any questions on revenues or expenses or the taxes?
I just wanted to say quick that talking to a lot of superintendents in our region, a lot of districts are really, really struggling financially. Many school districts are really debating right now about going well above their tax cap. Many school districts are $1 million in the hole right now, and they're looking at many, many reductions. We are very, very fortunate here in Chatham not to be there right now. And the reason for that is because the district over the years has really planned for the future. So we're able to dig into that money that they were able to plan for and not have significant reductions like some of our neighboring districts are. So it's a positive thing. We're also, as a district, looking at every dime we spend. We are looking at our numbers of our students, and as people are resigning, we're asking, can we do without this position without impacting our services to our students? We recently had a math resignation. We're currently in the process of looking very deeply whether or not we have to hire for that. Likely we won't, right? So that would increase that savings as well for the future of the district. So these are hard decisions we're making, but you're going to see in the newspaper and on the news some districts making unbelievable cuts and having really difficult conversations and going above the tax cap. As you can see, being able to only raise our taxes by 1.75% without any significant reductions is a very positive thing for this community. So big thank you to Mike for his expertise, and we're continuing to move forward as a district.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions? Nikki, would you like to give the Finance Committee report?
Sure. So Marianne and I are on the two board members on the board, the Finance Committee. Thank you, Mike, for all of the hard work that you do, and Andrew and Pat for answering all of our questions. And also David Laveau and April Mountain, who are our two community members that give lots of great insight. So just some main highlights that Mike just went over. We are going to keep all of the budget lines flat with the exception of salaries per contract, health and retirement system benefits, and the new debt service for the capital project. We discussed the reduction of positions, which saved approximately $380,000. We discussed and agreed to use the employee retirement reserve in the amount of $741,000 to lower the budget. And we discussed the tax cap and the tax levy and decided to bring the tax levy to 1.75%, which Mike just talked about. That's below the tax cap of 2.1, which will help out the taxpayer since we are in challenging economic times. And then, like Mike just said, we discussed how the budget is getting much tighter and there will be challenges ahead over the next few years. So again, Mike, thank you for everything, and to our whole committee.
Thank you, Nikki. Any questions or comments?
I'd like to comment on this. And Mike, thank you so much for pulling up the levy versus CPI, because I think, when everyone's tax bill goes up every year, it feels painful. Taxes are always painful. To look at that inflation number running double what our tax levies are increasing at, that's a big deal. I did a similar thing. I wanted to look back since I've been on the board. Tax levies up 17%. In that same time, CPI cumulative inflation's up 31%. So, but I pulled another number, which was our home valuations in this area, and Mike's probably got a sophisticated way to deal with this. Like we've got all these different towns, and they get assessed differently, and we have pieces of towns in some cases. But I just pulled town of Chatham because I was curious. And we're up 106% since I've been on the board. And if you look at some of these other towns, they're up even more than that. Some of this is because it's overdue assessment, but really, if you go shopping for a home right now, it really is double here what it was 10 years ago. And that's painful if you're shopping for a house. But if you own a house and you're a taxpayer, actually, that's just accumulated asset. So we're really just asking for less than inflation, and nothing really like the windfall people have gotten by investing in this community that in large part is great because of our Chatham School District is here. So just wanted to say that once a year because we've had this great track record, and it's something to be proud of.
Thank you, Matt. It's well said. Okay. So for old business, we're going to adopt the 2026-2027 school calendar. R62, be it resolved that the Board of Education adopt the 2026-2027 school calendar as presented in the March 24th, 26 board meeting.
The only change to that is in here, just to point out for full, is that we did not have the half days for the elementary and middle school in the end of June in your last calendar. So this new calendar shows that. That's the only thing that was changed from last meeting.
Good motion. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
For new business, R63, be it resolved that the Board of Education approve the memorandum of agreement with CCSTA dated March 26th, 2026. Motion? Any opposed? All in favor? Motion to approve MOA. R64, be it resolved that the Board of Education approve the memorandum of agreement with CCSTA dated March 26, 2026. Do you have a motion? Any opposed? All in favor? Okay, new business. Motion to adopt the 26-27 educational plan and budget. R65, be it resolved that the Board of Education adopt the tentative 26-27 educational plan and budget in the amount of $37,470,295. Motion? Any opposed? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion to approve the 26-27 property tax report card. R66, be it resolved that the Board of Education approve the 26-27 property tax report card. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion to accept donation for the Chatham Public Library. R67, be it resolved that the Board of Education accept the donation from Carla Knutson in the amount of $1,000 for the Chatham Public Library. Motion.
Second.
Any opposed? All in favor? Motion to accept donation for the Artemis Robotics team. R68, be it resolved that the Board of Education accept the donation of multiple checks in the amount of $7,653.12. This donation will be for the Artemis Robotics team to cover expenditures. Do you have a motion? Any opposed? All in favor? Okay. Motion to accept consensus agenda K through M. R69, be it resolved that the Board of Education accept the consensus agenda K through M as written. Do I have a motion? Any opposed? All in favor? Okay. Can I get a motion to accept minutes from the March 24th, 26th Board of Education meeting? Motion? Oh, all right, you're right. Future items, the board may suggest an item. We don't have the MTSS update will be on April 28th. And the public may comment at this time. Do we have anyone wanting to speak?
Good evening. My name is Dave O'Connor. I'm here as a community member. I live in the village of Chatham. So the first thing I wanted to bring up is in Andrew's report about the student presentation items that will be available for the public to view during the budget vote and the board elections. Sounds like a great idea. I just know it can get kind of hectic there, and it would be unfortunate if we didn't have safety items set up well. Parking can be an issue, etc. Second, I'll be interested in how the board handles the BOCES budget presentation. My impression is that Chatham does not get much from the cooperative extension, that they get paid pretty well, and yet there are services that are rendered that you're not happy with and that you turn to outside contractors for. I'm aware that the BOCES has a relationship with Hudson Valley for technology. Why not Columbia Green? So again, they roll in, my impression is once a year, the number of meetings I've attended here, I've not seen any representation from the BOCES to update the Chatham board on anything that the BOCES is doing. When I've gone to their meetings, they have a nice pizza party for everybody that attends. It's kind of interesting. The robotics presentation was fabulous. Those students are getting so much out of their education. I just worry that even with all the progress that the building administration has made on cutting down on the chronic absenteeism, it still is about 20%. So we know that roughly 1 in 5 students in the high school are not excited to come to school every day, getting the most out of this opportunity. So I hope we don't lose track of that. In the budget information, I didn't hear anything about fuel costs, what's being estimated. Everything I hear on the news is dramatic increases and them staying in place for probably the next year. So again, I'd be interested in finding out what our experts have to say about that line item in particular. Matt made a nice point, and Mike's presentation and David Laveau's input about 2% increase. But from when we did the building consolidation study back in 2016, student enrollment has dropped by more than 29%. So I applaud the only 2% per year increase, but it's been an increase while attendance has been declining.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor.
I would have liked to have also talked about the portrait of a graduate, but I realize you've got so many other speakers, you don't have time for that. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have need for an executive session this evening. Be it resolved that the Board of Education enter executive session to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation or matters leading to this appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, proposed, pending, or current litigation. Can I get a motion to appoint Andrew Court as District Clerk Pro Temp?
Motion.
All in favor? And we do not have a need to return to open session. So motion to adjourn. Nope, that's at the end. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.